Alright, so I've been working on this CubeX Duo for quite some time. I do have a trail of videos leading up to this one. On this one is a little more specific problem that I'm trying to solve. And I'm starting to get some okay prints, alright? If you saw that in the previous video, but there's just some major ghosting going on. And yeah, you can see the Y, I mean you can see the ghosting going all the way across just about from the Y over. And over here from the edge of the part, when you start looking at it, it's like a ripple effect. I don't know if you can see that. But I'm going to go in, and I noticed that this one was still set when I was trying to set the junction deviation, and it wasn't showing up on this. So the firmware, and I took a quick look at it, and it looks like it's still set up to show jerk, but I can't, adjust it here. Well, unless I go on the manual mode, not the touchscreen mode. But I'm going to double check all my settings on the firmware, reload it, and then at least I can start messing with those settings, the acceleration and junction deviation, and then see if I can get rid of this ghosting. Now when I slowed it down, it seemed to help. So this one, there's one side, I see a little ghosting here, but the other sides seem to be okay. But I see a lot of artifacts. What I don't like about it is this original part I had set at 50 millimeters per second, and I cut it in half. This one was printing off at 25, I mean awfully slow, and one side still had a little ghosting. I can tell it helped, but to tell you the truth, if I can't get 50 or 60 millimeters per second out of it, then it's not worth it. That's going way too slow for me. I want something 50 or 60 minimum. I mean, even my Ender 3s, I used to run those at 60, and I tweaked everything, and now I've got them running at 80 with no problem. I could probably go up to 100, but I'll be pushing it with those printers. But anyway, let me load the firmware, and then we'll print it off again. We'll adjust some settings, and we'll run it again and see if we can run it at least 50 and get a decent print with no ghosting. Alright? So you can see while it's printing, I have slowed it way down to see if that helps with the ghosting or anything on it. Because that's one of the first out of the three I guess main points of trying to get rid of ghosting is the speed of the print, any vibrations coming from, say, the belts or just anything. If there's a loose part, or if you're anything that would cause vibration through the system could be a culprit. And then your settings on the firmware for, acceleration and junction deviation. And before, when I first started doing this, it was acceleration and jerk, and it looks like they've moved to junction deviation. Now I noticed when I did go and try to make changes on the to the machine and adjust the acceleration and junction deviation, it did not show junction deviation on there. I could adjust the excuse me, I could adjust the acceleration. Now looking at those Ender 3 Pros over there, like I said, these have been modified substantially, and they're printing fantastic, and I did adjust the acceleration and junction deviation on these machines. So I'm going to go back after this print is done, and I'm going to reload firmware and see if I can get those adjustabilities back up to date. But I decided I would go ahead and print this off. I want to see if just slowing the print down would help, or while it was printing I noticed this belt was very loose, which was kind of interesting. When everything was sitting still before I was printing, it felt like it was tight, right? And once it started printing, I started comparing, which belts were loose or not. This one was actually pretty loose after it started printing. So I tightened these up, as much as I could. They're pretty darn tight now. So those are the first two steps, and we'll see how this one turns out. In the meantime, while this is printing, I'm going to go get the firmware ready and get everything up to date, and we'll see how it goes. Alright, as you can see, I'm running another test. This time I did the previous, tightening the belts and all that good stuff, and I lowered the speed on this one, remember, down to the 25. I mean, awfully low. So I'm running this one at 50 again. That's my bare minimum that I'll tolerate. 50 or 60. And I went ahead and checked out the firmware, reloaded, make sure everything was there, adjusted the acceleration, and the junction deviation is it's just calculated from the jerk anyway, right? So just matters of how you want to see it. And on this TFT, this is that Big Tree TFT 35, I believe, and to get to those settings I have to go to not the touchscreen, but back to the Marlin mode, and go through and change it there. Kind of an annoyance, I know, but my other one over here, I can do it. Different board. It's the Mini 3 Big Tree Tech, and this one is different board. It's supposed to be a good one. But anyway, enough small talk. I'm going to let this run, and we'll see how this looks, how the ghosting and all that good stuff. See if I've got that out of it now. I mean, I tightened everything up, did all I really can to get rid of the ghosting, but we'll see how it turns out. Alright, so here's the latest. I don't have my glasses with me, but it actually doesn't look that bad. I still feel, oh, sorry about that. I still feel like ridges, Can't tell if it's over extruding or under extruding. And they're still ghosting. Yeah, it's even after adjusting, tightening everything down, tightening the belts, adjusting the acceleration and jerk, or junction deviation, however you want to rate that. But the only way I got it to lessen the amount of ghosting on it was to slow it down to 25, and that is just way too slow. Yeah, kind of disappointing, but those are the steps you're supposed to take. Now I need to figure out what is causing that. This thing, any decent printer should be able to go at 50 or 60, if you ask me. But I will go on to the next phase when I replace this the X carriage, and I might just go ahead and make it a Bowden tube, whatever, and we'll go from there. But I think there's just so much vibration going on. Well, this whole table too. I could see the whole thing was just vibrating back and forth. But I don't know if that is the cause of the ghosting. But we'll see. So that was a good short video. The next one, I'll be converting this over. We'll put the new X carriage on and convert it to a valve tube, and then start testing some more. Alright, so, well, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and watch for the next video.